Hello, this is a monthly discussion for our Central Region Team Engagement virtual team. This call is open to the entire Central Region. For those of you that have not attended before, we welcome you. We'll be discussing offer updates, answer questions, and, most importantly, take field data for our products. Things like competitive information, customer success stories, and or suggestions for features and functionality. My name is Milos, I'm the area VTL, and Kim Leffler is the theater VTL. So we got three sections to today's meeting. Talk a little bit about GRIP and offer an update, talk through some product updates, and have a little discussion around Aura. So first, GRIP. Please let us know what your customers are asking for in conversations, RFPs, designs, etc. GRIP is the best forum for this, so products can only get better if we know what's happening in the field. Any questions about GRIP, how to access it, or how to enter a new GRIP?
Yeah, Milos, I just opened up a GRIP, I think, it was about last week for Edward Jones regarding third-party certificate mechanics for Equinox. Basically, so I've got it open, and this is really the first one I've done on this. Well, the first one I actually did ended up closing right away. So I have the GRIP created, and I've actually gotten a response back, an approval on that. Now, is that up to me then to start the next to start the next step in the process of the GRIP, or what is the next step in the process of the GRIP after it's been submitted and initially approved?
So it'll go to the area, it'll go through the theater, and then it'll get to the product managers. Do you know what stage it's at right now?
I can look it up, but it was just initially approved like on Friday.
Okay. I'd be happy
I use the
to
word
take a look
approval, I guess, very loose. It's probably a different term for it.
Very possible. So if you like, I can take a closer look at it. Do you have the GRIP number handy?
Yeah, I'll look it up, and I'll maybe send it over to you. I didn't want to stop your progress or anything, but if that would be all right, I can go ahead and send that over and talk to you about it.
Please do. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Matt. Anybody else have any questions on GRIP? All right. So the next release is 3.3 for Equinox, the client. I believe you can download it today. I haven't tried it yet, and the App Store is going to provide it sometime in January. At a real high level, it's going to provide new menu for merging calls on the desktop. Also, they've updated some steps for adding people to a call when you're on a mobile device, and we're revamping the Outlook plugin, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Also, if you're on a Mac or maybe iOS, we now support Siri. And for example, I'm on a Mac at the moment, so I could say, hey Siri, call Kim Leffler using Equinox. It would open up the app and dial by dipping into the contacts that I have. As a follow-up to today, I'll share some slides that we got as the latest update from Brad Black, Kirk Jones, and Scott Larson. Any questions about Equinox in general, or maybe about the latest release?
Hey, Milos, this is Dave Steinke. I guess the one thing I'd add to that, I got access to a beta copy of the Windows version of Equinox 3.3, and there was a lot of improvements in stability and fixed a lot of the niggling issues that I was seeing in desktop phone mode and some other things. So the 3.3 beta version that I have is extremely stable, and I've got no issues whatsoever deploying that for a customer. It seems to be really solid.
Oh, that's fantastic! I'm really glad to hear that.
You said that was on like a Windows laptop or Surface that you were using that?
Yeah, I've got my Avaya Windows 7 desktop machine that I run it on.
Okay.
The Outlook integration runs clean. The click to join a meeting from the Equinox runs clean. The desktop phone mode runs clean. It's just been a really solid client.
Great. Yeah, I didn't know, and it's on the from the laptop there. So I don't know. Did anybody notice on the mobile side? Is there ever, maybe there'll be or any release notes about the fix of? Has anybody experienced if they're basically on an Equinox call and they get a secondary call that comes in, it basically automatically mutes the Equinox call that you're on? Has anybody seen that on the mobile client?
I haven't. Anybody else on the team?
Must just be me. Okay.
interesting. I'll take a closer look at that. I appreciate you guys bringing that up. So, Matt, you're saying that you're on an Equinox call and a second call comes in on Equinox?
Well, either that or even a secondary, a secondary just on your regular mobile number, just an incoming call of any kind comes in, it mutes that in-flight Equinox call.
Okay. I'll do some testing and see what I can find. I appreciate you bringing that up, man.
Yeah, or follow up with you on it maybe.
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to. All right. Any other questions on Equinox? All right. So, talking about Equinox conferencing now, we've got the opportunity to influence the next version of Equinox conferencing via GRIP. So, next GA, the 9.2 roadmap team is looking for features that might be missing or maybe some problems that you found in 9.1. They'll prioritize based on deals that they can enable by doing this. So if you've got any experience with Equinox conferencing and you'd like to see some fixes or maybe suggest some features, feel free to open up a grip. And if you want to let me know as well, I can send it over to the PMs and make sure they prioritize it. Just out of curiosity, has anybody on the call positioned Equinox conferencing recently?
Yes, hey Milos, it's been positioned at UBC United Biosource in Kansas City.
All right.
This is Dennis. I positioned it at KCPL in an RFP.
KCPL? Okay, got that. Thank you.
Kansas City Power and Light.
Okay, all right.
Sounds like we got Kansas City surrounded, Doug. Or Dennis, sorry.
Yeah, it sure does. Anybody else on the team position Equinox conferencing recently? Just looking for things that maybe during the response of an RFP or something during the design process that you ran into that you'd like to see in the next release. If you think of anything, feel free to send me an email, follow up with me afterwards, or better yet, just open up a grip and let me know which one it is. Any other questions?
From the pod standpoint too, just a secondary part of the conversation here. In the new pod release and the new configurator, it's a lot easier now to quote that. Using the configurator tool as opposed to the manual process prior.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so they updated all the tabs for the server sizing.
Yeah, for conference Equinox conferencing.
Very cool. Okay, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Any other questions or input on Equinox conferencing? All right. So some of you may have heard of Avaya. It's specific to Equinox. So when I think about, showing Equinox to customers, you could show a demo to customers by using our Avaya production environment. And some of you may have customers that are using the Equinox client only for cell phone, just because they don't have the whole UC stack behind it. With Avaya, now we have the option of taking another step and building an entire environment for testing the full stack. So this Avaya is not a trial. Rather, it's a full-blown Equinox proof of concept. Ideally, we're looking for about 20 users, but there's room for more. Process-wise, you go into an OTN, you open up an SSR, it gets routed to your SEM, Systems Engineering Manager. If they approve it, you'll get a welcome email, which starts a 45-day trial. That comes at no cost. From an SE perspective, you'll need to do about 15 minutes of training. You also need to onboard the customer and follow up with bill of materials and a SAL. So when the 45 days is up, you can position the actual purchase. Just a couple notes on the environment. There's no tenant partitioning. It's actually just one big pool of users. And also there's no PSTN access. Any questions? Right.
That's pretty straightforward. Cool.
For sure. So a couple updates on Microsoft. So it's been a hot topic over the last few meetings. We talked through 4 integration points. And the idea is to keep Microsoft's enterprise voice away. Recently we came into a 5th option, which is in beta right now. It's done with presence services, and we'll be able to federate with Lync or the Skype for Business environments. Does 2 things. One, it provides inter-enterprise federation between 2 different companies, but it could also provide intra-enterprise federation between 2 different domains within the same company. From a workflow standpoint, it allows Microsoft users to initiate an IM with a 1X or Equinox user. And from the Microsoft standpoint, you'll need to have an environment that has an on-prem front-end server for this to work. And so this is Presence Services 7, and later in the year, when 8.0 comes out, we'll also add the functionality of having on or off call status, so the Microsoft users can see if a federated or a SIP user is on the phone. Based on conversations I've had in the past, I would anticipate some interest in this. And I'm curious if anybody on the phone wants to share any more information on what they're seeing in the field or what they're hearing from their customers. For example, things like how much more a Microsoft solution might cost, or if there's FUD, how much less they're saying it costs. Also, I'm very curious to hear what use case Microsoft is promoting. And probably more importantly, if there's any issues with our solutions providing that same use case or workflow.
Hey, Milos, this is Dave again. Had some interesting experiences at General Mills. As folks may be aware, they adopted Microsoft Office Communicator a few years ago as their internal conferencing and UC platform, and never really got it fully deployed. It's kind of like a global intercom right now. But since selecting that, they've been forced by Microsoft to upgrade to Lync and then Skype for Business, and now they're being pushed to the cloud. And Microsoft is ending support for the third-party PBX for voicemail through an SBC this coming July. So that's an impending event for them that they've got to find a new kind of integration out there. So that's been an opportunity for us with ESNA there. But the other thing that they've been complaining rather bitterly about is the increased costs since moving to the cloud model. And then the second thing that happened about 2 weeks ago is they actually experienced a week-long outage on voicemail globally on the Microsoft platform because Microsoft made some routing changes within their cloud model and didn't bother to tell anybody about the changes. So voicemail just stopped working. And like I say, it took them a week to get it figured out and get it back online because Microsoft denied making any changes at first. So it hasn't been all peaches and cream in the Microsoft environment for General Mills.
This is on top of the issue they had with storing some of the voicemail within India or maybe some other countries as well.
Exactly.
Wow, that's good to know. So how does our ESNA stack up to the alternative?
It actually is, the Office Links product is actually quite impressive with the capabilities it brings to it and the feature functionality that it has. It really, I kind of hate to say this, but in a lot of ways it outperforms Aura messaging in terms of what it can offer with redundancy options and things like that are built in. The integration with Office 365 is, in the demos that I watched, is incredibly clean. It's fast, seems to be easy to manage. The downsides to it right now, and I'm not sure how much of a downside it is, but there's 2 issues with it in my mind. Number one, it's not SAL compatible yet, so we really don't have a way of monitoring or alarming on the product. And number 2, the licensing is outside of our suite model. but that is supposedly being looked at for Aura version 8, and hopefully we'll see some correction there. But in terms of feature functionality, the maturity of how the products seem to operate, the redundancy, the message mirroring, all of that stuff that's built into it, it's a really good looking product. PAX functionality is really good as well.
Wow, that's really good feedback. Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
I'm sure the team appreciates that as well. I see quite a few people on the phone. Anybody else run into Microsoft in the field? I'd love to hear what your experience is and how you're fighting off the enterprise voice. Okay, if anybody wanted to follow up with me afterwards, that's fine as well. And I'm curious, does anybody have any questions around how we can integrate with Microsoft? The 4 ways we talked about in the previous meetings, or maybe this new way that's in beta right now with presence services?
I guess the one question I have, Milos, is in terms of the Federation offers. Right now, we're federated with General Mills and Visions and a couple of other business partners through the Microsoft platform. Is there anything we could do to influence IT to change that integration and federation to our own internal platform now that we're supposedly supporting this, and get that running on Equinox internally here?
That's
I think that might be a good way to help push The Last of Us over onto Equinox internally, is to have our messaging and that be able to be federated, and it would be a good demonstration product for customers as well.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can dig up some information, not only on who would be responsible for that, but I'll see if I can find out if there are any plans for that in the short term.
Yeah, and it's, if you need help pushing that along, Milos, if you find some contacts, I'll certainly add my voice to the choir.
All right, that's a good deal. I might take you up on that offer.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions on Microsoft integrations? All right. So, got a few updates on endpoints. If you haven't heard, a gentleman by the name of Ari Willem Verboen is the new Mark Monday. He's in charge of all endpoints. We got a few updates from people on his team. Gord Webster, he's in charge of the J100s. The J100 is a hardware endpoint that works with Aura, IP Office, Zang, and also recently added support for BroadSoft. It's based on the 96X1 software, and the way Gord described the value of our hardware is not only does it have long life, and in my opinion, they never really break, but from a software standpoint, we can add on to the 19 features that are built into SIP. With SIP AST, we can add another 20 or 30 on top of it. So going from the top, the J129, the walk-up phone, can use a core or power license, but can also use something called an enhanced IPT license for the cost conscience. Also, the J169 is that everyday kind of voice phone that's going to be coming out in March. It's got a monochrome screen. It's not grayscale, and it's intended to eventually replace the 9608G, which currently is our best-selling model. The J179 is intended for power users. That's coming out in March as well. And there's also some wireless modules. We can add Wi-Fi to the J129, and on the 179, we can add both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And going back up to the J139, that's also kind of an entry-level knowledge worker kind of phone. That's going to be coming out in June. Venden also offered some updates as well on the Vantage. For those of you that aren't familiar or maybe don't have one on your desk right now, the idea is to customize the user experience while taking advantage of the Breeze SDK. It doesn't require a Breeze server. The endpoint or the Breeze SDK talks directly to Aura Communication Manager. The platform is Open Android, and it can also work on third-party PBXs, also BroadSoft in this case. We've got 3 models that are going to start coming out. 3 additional models are going to be coming out in around May of next year. We've got little detail right now, but at a high level, we're going to be looking at entry level, a main kind of model, and also a next gen model. And as soon as I get some more details, I'll share it with the team. And what also specific to engaging with the product managers and getting pre-sales assistant, there's also a new email that Ari opened up. So the idea is if you send an email to endpointsales@avaya.com with your question about any of our pieces of hardware endpoints, that a team of product managers and or SMEs that are on the distribution list will help you with any questions that you have. Any questions on the updates for the endpoints? All right. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Aura 7 and some details around the latest release. All of you are familiar with things like the media server replaces the gateways and a few other enhancements that come with it. But I wanted to break it down from a standpoint of, from a sales perspective, talking about impending events. CM6, the end of sale, is going to drive CM7 upgrades. So in January, we won't be able to offer any more LSP or ESS licenses. And starting in June, we won't be able to add any more station licenses. So some of you may be aware that Aura 8 is currently in beta, and its release date is going to be in July. At a high level, Aura 8 can provide things for customers like, where a customer can provide their version of Red Hat. That way they can use their own internally hardened OS. We have expanded Amazon Web Services and Bluemix support, and I think Google and Azure are coming later. We also got this accommodation for CS1K customers, a snap-in/device adapter as well, so we can offer some features or reuse some of the infrastructure that they have in place. But I think my key message here is that because the CM6 is going into sale, we should focus on selling the current release of Aura. So I just want to run through a few things about the why before I get into the what. We've got 3 trends that are driving strategy at Avaya. 1, customer needs are evolving. Software is moving from on-premise to the cloud, and hybrid models are becoming more common. Also, there's much more emphasis on productivity and cost savings. So, interesting prediction. Gartner says that the CMO will spend more money in technology than the CIO will. Number 2, a focus on the customer experience. Customers want to interact with businesses through new channels and new devices. Social networks, applications, and mobile platforms will, and already are, providing new channels for two-way communications. Another Gartner prediction, in the near future, 90% of companies expect to compete almost entirely on the basis of customer experience. And number 3, employees expect and are demanding mobility. Mobile technology has created a world focused on real-time, flexible, and always-on communications. Employees expect enterprise technology to equal the mobility and agility of consumer technology. Ever hear this phrase? Work is what you do, not where you are. And now it's a reality. So these are the market trends that are driving Avaya's current focus on customer and employee engagement. The latest release of Aura is easier to maintain with simplified management capabilities and also has an increase in solution scale. We doubled the SIP user and device capacity. We've got flexible virtualization with Avaya supplied servers, customer VMware, and or the PodFX. And now we've also got the media server that can reduce rack space, cooling, and power requirements that a traditional gateway would have required. And for those of you with contact center customers, we've got improved analysis and agent effectiveness, and also additional options for multi-skilled agents and reporting. With Breeze, you can create applications that allow new ways of enhancing the customer journey. Mobile-first engagement with web, mobile video, and personalization in real time. Also, we can build solutions faster with new tools and cloud-based services. I know security has been top of mind, especially after some of the news came out from companies like Equinox and Uber, etc. So here are just a few highlights from the latest release of Aura. Out-of-band management that separates sensitive management and non-management network traffic. Gateway signaling can be secured with TLS. Call traffic can be encrypted with a much longer key, and now the user can verify encryption status of the phone or client. A few examples of password enhancements. The password can be controlled by length or complexity. We can limit reuse of past passwords, and passwords can expire MFA authentication to System Manager with PIV CAC cards. The PIV cards are something that an IST might use, and I know we don't have anybody with military customers here, but military-grade common access cards are popular there as well. Also got some options for the login screen, forcing acknowledgement of terms of access. We can also lock an account based on too many failed attempts to log in, or we can block a browser's autocomplete feature on login pages. And from a 96x1 endpoint standpoint, the users can now use alphanumeric passwords. This probably isn't new news for you either, but we can support hybrid and/or public cloud. Applications running with an infrastructure as a service provider have no impact on the way the system is purchased or licensed. It's similar in security, performance, scale, and resiliency. Things like System Manager, geo-redundancy, active-active session manager, communication manager, survivable cores are all supported and work the same way. Solution Deployment Manager, that's a new one. It combines system management functions that used to be in 3 separate pieces of the infrastructure. It combines Software Update Manager, Avaya Virtual Application Manager, and also System Platforms management capabilities. SDM is a component of System Manager and provides central software management tools for installs, upgrades, and updates. Essentially, it's a Windows PC client that can do up to 10 upgrade jobs simultaneously. It moves from a manual step-by-step procedure local to the application server to an automated migration procedure. And the idea is to eliminate lost time waiting for each step in an upgrade migration process by using an automated sequencing of eventing that could happen maybe in the middle of the night or during the week. And this is really just a gentle reminder to get your customers current. If you're on 6 or maybe something a little bit older, we can get them to 7 before starting those Aura 8 discussions. At a high level, we can't sell futures. We can only sell what we have now. Any questions on Aura?